Friends, in a moment we're going to begin the service for Mr. Mark Shainwald. I'm going to ask if you have any noise-making device or phone in your possession, please turn it on silent. Officiating today's service will be Rabbi Aaron Wolf.
Mizmor David, Adonai Eloi Yachzor, B'nois Deshe Yabitzei, Namei Menuchos in Aleini, Nafshi Yishayev Yachini V'Maglet Tzedek L'man Shmoi, Gam Ki Elech B'Geitz Amo V'Slo Ira Ki Atu Imodi, Shivtecho Mishantecho, Hima Yenachamuni, Taroich Lefonai Shulchan Neged Tzoreroi, Tishanta Vashem Eloi Shikoisir Vayom, Ach Toi Vaches Yidefuni Koyim Echayoi, Song of David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. God makes me lie down in lush pastures. God leads me beside tranquil waters. God restores my soul and guides me in righteous paths for God's name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in full view, my adversaries. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Say one more psalm. Mizmor David, Adonai mi yagu be'alecha mi yishkan ba'akachecha. Hoylech tomim afayel tzedek v'dever emes b'vavai. וירגל על השני ליעשה לרעהו רעה וחפל לנעשה על קרבי. נבזה בעיניו נמאס וסירי עדינו יכבד. נשבע לו הרע ולא יאמר. כספי לנעשה מנשך ושייך עדנו כי לא לקח. אוי סי אלה לא ימות לי אלוהם. Lord, who may sojourn in your tent? Who may dwell on your holy mountain? One who walks in purity, does what is righteous, and speaks the truth from the heart. One who has no slander on the tongue, nor has done harm to a fellow, nor cast disgrace towards a neighbor, in whose eyes a contemptible person is repulsive, but who honors those who are in awe of the Lord, who swears truthfully even to personal hurt and never retracts, who does not lend money on interest, nor takes a bribe against the innocent. One who does these things shall never falter. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today to pay tribute, pay our respect, bid farewell to Mark Shainwald, Meir Leib ben Shmuel David. I had a schus, I had the honor, I can call it an honor, because unfortunately these days many patients do not get the visitors that they deserve to have, and as many hours that they deserve to have. Mark was able to have Naomi at his bedside for much more than many others that I know in the last 5 months or so. And even when it comes to clergy, the hospitals are very careful before they allow the clergy to come in, especially outside clergy, not employees of the hospital. But for some reason, only God knows how, I got in there. I was there on Friday, and I was able to say the prayers, Shema Yisrael, which is, I just felt that I was there in the right time to say the prayers with Mark. And I know Naomi asked him, I think on Thursday, do you want the rabbi to come? And if I remember correctly, you said that he nodded with his head. So he knew something is happening. I want to say some prayers. And he had the schus that he was able to say Yishma. Did I know Mark that well? No. So why am I here today? We're here to pay respects for a person who was a very, very special individual. The ones who can probably best get up here and talk about Mark would be family members. Unless anything changes, I was told they're so distraught, they just cannot get up here and say what they really would like to say. He was extremely, very, very close to his sister Naomi, spoke to her on a regular basis, and she would really want to come up here. She told me she'll choke over the words, and she cannot do it. But I would like to ask someone who came here today, Mordechai Turkeltaub, who worked for many, many years, hand in hand with Mark. I think he told me this morning that he knew him for 30 years, had a very close working relationship. So I would like to ask that Mordechai please come and share some words.
How can I not come and say words about this wonderful person? The truth is, they say kishmo kahu. The name of a person basically reflects on what the person is. If you think about the name Meir Leib, Meir is the one that brings light, enlightens, and Leib, the heart. Probably a little over 30 years, let's see, 1988 when I first started Romanian. Mark was always the right-hand man of Arnold Loeb, and at that time his father was still alive. Basically, I would say Romanian ran because of Mark. Whether it was a matter of seeing to it that the bills are paid, or even running the stuffer for the hot dog salamis and etc., the formulas, the mixing of the spices and etc., Mark was the one. It was very interesting. Just this morning before I left, my wife told me an interesting story. She works with many different types of people, including some organizations that perhaps are there to support people in their quest to learn a little bit about their heritage. She met, I think it was in Dallas, a person by the name of Sandy Hubbard. I don't know who she is. My wife just met her through this. She doesn't know, but this Sandy asked my wife, "Oh, you're from Chicago." You know what her question was out of the blue, without knowing that it so happens that I'm at Romanian? Do you know someone by the name of Mark Shainwald? This is the reputation, this is the impression, this is the legacy that Mark has left. You know, they say kishmo kahu. They say that ish lefi mahalaloi, a person according to his words, or according to what is said about him. In the 30 plus years that I've worked with him, never did I hear him badmouth anybody else, speak Lashon Hara, or even if he may have had some issues with somebody, never did I hear from him any negative conversations regarding somebody. Never. And as you see from the words that describe who Mark was, you see that reputation that he had was to be a good person. Obviously, there's no such a thing as a righteous person that has never done any sins whatsoever. We're all human beings. We all have our frailties. We all have our shortcomings. But nevertheless, a tzaddik he is. So therefore, as we are here to, I guess, in Yiddish they say to gezegen, to say our goodbyes, or perhaps we'll see you, in Hebrew they say litraot, to see you again. The Mark that we know, that we knew, that we continue to know, is the Mark that never spoke any ill about anybody. The Mark that was there, you can imagine that whatever his position was at Romanian, if there was anything to be done, whether it was stuffing hot dogs, whether machines that needed to be fixed, or perhaps bills to be paid, or day in and day out, Arnold really relied on him for advice in different things, in many, many things. There was not a day in the 30-some years that I've been going to Romania, and I go there just about every day as in a capacity of kosher supervision. There was never, hardly a day that went by between Arnold and Mark that questions were asked, not only questions about kashrus, but questions that were asked about things in general. I'm not sure why they felt that I'm the one that should be asked those questions. But for some reason, time and again, they would turn to me to ask questions. And if they're asking me questions, regardless of who I am, it is my, I guess, responsibility to try to help someone with those questions that a person may have. It was just unbelievable, day in and day out. Again, not only about the goings on and as far as kosher, the kosher running of the store, but questions, philosophy questions in Judaism and etc. People perhaps may have seen him, may have dealt with him. They would say, what? He's asking those questions? Yes. As a quiet person, when he had those questions, he didn't keep it bottled inside of him. He would ask those questions. He would, I had how many times, regardless of the time of day, he would call me with questions. This is the type of person he was. One of the remarkable things that I can talk about Mark is something unbelievable. In the 30-some years that I've dealt with him, I don't think there was ever one time that anything that he told me was anything but the complete truth without any reservations whatsoever. To the point that when it came that I needed to find out some information regarding my kosher responsibilities at Romanian, I knew that if I ask Mark, I'll get the straight answer. There are sometimes people who perhaps choose to answer the questions based on what they think that you want to know. That's not Mark. Mark answered the questions as they are. And it just made my job of my daily visits at Romanian to make sure that the system is running the way it's supposed to be running so much easier. Because if I had a question, I would ask Mark, I don't have my answer. Who am I going to ask now? Mark is not here. Mark is not there to answer my questions. Yet at the same time, we know that as much as we miss him, and we miss him dearly now, we yearn for the time that tears of sorrow will turn into tears of joy, because he may be gone temporarily, and we yearn for the day with the coming Mashiach that we'll meet him once again. And I'm sure as we see him then, he'll be high in the pedestal as a person and as an example of what a human being should be.
I'm sure you've asked yourself in the past, what's the purpose of a eulogy? We just heard from Mordechai Turkeltaub, beautiful words, unbelievable what type of a person Mark was. So now we all know about it. Some of us maybe know more, some of us may not have known all of this. Now what? Of course, we're all sad. We shed a tear, and perhaps more than just a tear. And then what? We go home, there's a Shiva period. There's a Shloshim period, there's a year of mourning, and then what? We can never forget somebody who was so dear, a sister, a family member, an uncle, a friend, a father. Cannot forget someone like that. But the purpose of a eulogy is let's do something to remember him. There's the concept of not to forget, but then there's the other concept is what can we do to remember him on a regular basis? And that's the purpose of a eulogy. So when we hear all of these tremendous virtues, unbelievable person, then we should ask ourselves, what can we apply to our lifestyle? Perhaps what changes can we make to ourselves, to our family members, so that we can also perhaps follow in his footsteps and learn from him. And then when we do that, and we actually apply certain things or make certain changes in our families, then Mark is no longer something of the past. He's something of the present. The eulogy had an effect. It had an effect on each and every one of us who are here and those of us who were unable to be here for various reasons. Because they think about, wow, what can I learn from this very, very unique individual? So it's not only, it's important to cry. Halacha says, you look into the code of Jewish law, when someone passes away, we cry. It's natural. That's just what the body, that's how the body reacts. But the next step is, what can we do to follow in his footsteps? I heard today, and I also heard from Naomi and from others, what an honest person he was. What a trustworthy person he was. You can give him anything, and you can be 100% sure that he'll carry out exactly what you told him to do, and he'll return exactly what you wanted him to return. We heard about Lashon Hara, never speak something negative about someone, although I'm sure he had what to say about people, because that's what life is all about. You know, we don't always have positive experiences, but he would keep it to himself. So dedicated to what he was doing. To be dedicated to the work that we do is also something which we have to think, there's something we can learn from him. We can be dedicated, we can be devoted, and we can be even more devoted and more dedicated. Kibbud Av V'Em, how much he honored his parents, and his mother should live and be well. Unfortunately, quite ill and not here with us today. Probably not aware that we are here today to say goodbye to her son. But I hear that the Kibbud Av V'Em, the respect that he had on an ongoing basis for his parents, and even after his father passed away, he used to call his mother on a daily basis. Every single day, he would call his mother. He would make sure that periodically, a couple times a year, he would go out to Tampa and visit with her. Visit with his sister. But his mother and his father was very important to him. No matter what, all personal things are secondary. His parents go first. And he showed it, and he was an example for all those that knew him of to what extent one has to honor a father and a mother. So as I said before, when we walk away today, we're getting ready for Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is only a couple days from now. And Rosh Hashanah is called the head of the year. The reason why it's called the head of the year, because the Rosh, the head, leads the rest of the body. The body functions because of what happens in the head, and that has a direct effect with the rest, with the other limbs of the body. And therefore, the Rosh Hashanah, the way we conduct ourselves on Rosh Hashanah, it may, and it could, and it would have an effect how we behave throughout the year. So sometimes there are certain days in the year that the way we behave that day, it has a direct consequence of how the rest of the year will follow. And perhaps I can apply that also. Today, it's not Rosh Hashanah yet, but we're getting ready for it. Today, we're talking about a very special neshama, very special soul, who many of us knew very well. So whatever we can do today that can have an effect on us for the rest of the year, like the Rosh, like the head. And not only for 1 year, but it should have an effect for many years to come, and for our children and grandchildren. There are a lot of things that we can learn from Mark that we can apply for generations to come. So not only this year will be a better year, and not only this year we can have a happier family, but hopefully for generations to come, we will be able to learn from Mark how to live a better life, live a life with morality and better behavior. And if this all comes as a result of us thinking that we're learning from Mark, then that helps us and it helps his neshama. Because his neshama is going back up there and they're saying, wow, look at this special neshama where there are scores and scores of people who are now living a better life as a result of him. So then his neshama is welcomed in a much, much different manner. So let's hope and pray. Talking about Rosh Hashanah, let's hope and pray that this coming year will be a better year for all of us, a year full of health and happiness, and we should get together and only celebrate happy and joyous events. And as Mordechai said before, we should welcome in and usher in the era of Mashiach very soon. B'mheira v'yameinu.
Amen.
I'm going to conclude with the Kilmol Arachamim, and if possible, you can rise for the Kilmol Arachamim. El mol rachamim sheicheim ameroimim hametzei menuchan achayin al kamfei yashchino b'malos kedoshim utoirim gezer rekia mazirim es nishmas me'eleib ben Shmuel David shalach liyoylamoi b'gan eiden teimen uchasei lachem bal rachamim as tirei b'seisek enofecho liyoylamim utzrei b'trei chames nishmos yadin loihu nachalosoi v'yanuach b'shalom amishkavoi v'noimar amen. O God, exalted and full of compassion, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Mark Shainwald, also known as Meir Leib, the son of Shmuel David, who has gone to his eternal home. Master of mercy, we beseech you, remember all the worthy and righteous deeds that he performed in the land of the living. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. The Lord is his portion. May he rest in peace, and let us all say, Amen. Amen.
You want to push the lever over? Oh, there's that other thing.
At the end.
No mitzvah.
What she's going to do?
What? Mount Olives, traditionally, we put that copy the casket.
You guys want to cry?
Kaddish
You guys, huh?
You want to pray for your brother?
Yeah, why not?
Of course, he's dead clear. What are you talking about?
Don't let the daughter.
Oh, the daughter. Why your daughter?
The daughter is a.
Yes.
I think just not to make a difference between the daughter and her,
Right,
give them
supposed
both
to
ribbons.
Around
Give
the
them
rock.
both ribbons.
Mit hier darf man Sachen machen, ihr Lieben. Und nicht für den ganzen.
Ja.
Ja.
This point is accustomed to. We're gonna do. Just got a little bit. Careful, one. Okay. Make the bracha. Maybe the blessing with me.
Oh, bro.
Baruch atah Dayan ha'emet.
Caught on a roof. You caught on a roof.
Okay. That means say, blessed are you, God, in the universe, making proper judgment. Very difficult blessing to say, especially when talking about somebody who is very young. You know, when you have a 99-year-old, you say, God, you did the right thing, you know, you lived for 99 years. To say that for someone who's much younger, it's difficult, but at the same time we express our faith in God. He knows when we come and when we have to go. And this is when we express our faith, our belief. We say, thank you, God. Blessed are you, God. You did the right judgment. We trust you.
It's like Shainwald's use gloves.
In a moment, everybody will have an opportunity to place 3 measures of earth or more into Mark's grave. We ask as a measure of safety, Boris is coming around with gloves. Please take a couple pairs of gloves. And another idea is please to place the shovel after you're finished back into the pile of earth.
Ready? I'll start.
He's going the wrong place.
Boris.
This way.
All those who want to participate.
Do you want to give it over this one?
Huh?
You're going to put it
Inside.
in. No, I thought you didn't open it.
Gloves on the floor.
You have a garbage can here? You have a garbage can to put the gloves in?
Yes, stand chair.
You have a chair? Why don't they put in a garbage can?
Yes, look at the trash bin.
Reform congregation. It was so strange.
They also start Saturday night. They also started Saturday night and Sunday morning.
It was Saturday night. Thursday.
Let me talk to you about the college.
Yeah, I'll call. Mark told me to call Kelsey.
You did talk to me a little bit about
On the last day of the week, made more specific great-grandmother, Naomi, that I was named after, my Bubby, my Zadie, my father's sister, and the shorter stone there is my Bubby Mendel, who was Isadore's daughter. So, my cousin who was buried at Isadore's feet. I'll be buried in my dad.
Also, after till the kidney. Absolut, dann Politik wollte doch nicht mit Ehren, aber wenn das hat wieder schön was, dann wird auch nur mal die השאלה ומטה ומעמים, זה מחייב שוב היום, פתאום נכון מה זה מיום על מעטס, ומבייס וחסד חילום, לא נותס, בסוס הנגד כיסא כשבעשי, צדיק בכל דרך ועצות, תומר רחמן, מול רחם חמל, ובחוס נעלו בסובן, כי לך עדין הספיחס והרחמים, צדיק עתועד נעלו מסלח, זה שבאת פיקטין כל רוחס חביל, ולך זכרננו למחייס, פיינו חבר רחם עלינו פקוחס, כי לך עדין הרחם והסליחס, אדם בן שנה יהיה, אי אלף שנה יחיה, מה ישראל לא יקלוי, היה ברוך דיין אמס מהם, בסמכי ברוך הוא כמס דין להם משייטה הכל בעינוי, ומשם לא אדם חש בעינוי ודינוי, והכל לשמוע ידע ייתנו, ידענו עד נלוי כצדק משפטך, תצדק בדברך, וסיסקה בשבתך, ואין להרח מדשפתך. צדיק אתה אדוני ויושר משפטך, דיין המשפט צדק ואמס. ברוך דיין האמס של כל משפטו צדק ואמס. נפש כל חי בידיך, צדק מורה ימיך בידיך, רחמה פליט עשין ידיך, ושם למלך הרף ידיך, גדול היית ורב הלוויה. אשר עיניך פקוח אז על כל דרכי בני אדם ועשית לאיש כדרך וכפלי מעל עליו. להגיד כי יושר אדינוי צוד, יבלעב לא סבוי, אדינוי נוסן, אדינוי לקח, יהי שם אדינוי מברך, והוא רחמך במולו ישחס, בבולו שבפוי, ולא יועיל כל חמוסי. Righteous art thou, O Lord, and taking away a given life, for in thy hand are pleasured all spirits. Far be it from thee to blot us from memory or look towards us with mercy, for thou art the Lord of mercy and pardon. If a man live 1 year or 1,000 years, of what avail is it? For is he not as though he had never been? Praise be the true judge who takes away and gives life. Praise be he, for his judgments are true, as he scrutinizes all things and rewards man according to his deeds. Let all men therefore praise his name. Thou art the true judge, for all thy judgments are true. The soul of every living creature is in thy hand, for there is justice in thy command. O have mercy on the remnant of thy flock, and say to the angel of destruction, withdraw thy hand. Thou art great in counsel, mighty in action, who scrutinize the ways of the children of men, and rewards each one according to his ways and the fruits of his labor, manifesting that the Lord is upright. He is my sheltering rock, in whom there is no iniquity. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken. Praise be the name of the Almighty. He, the most merciful, forgives iniquity and destroys not. Often he turns aside his anger and awakens not his wrath. We will now conclude with the Kaddish. Which was Mizrah?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
יסקדל ויסקדש שמי רבו. עמוד הוא עתיד ליסקדוסו לחיום ישראל עסוק לחיימו. ולבני קרתו ירושלים ולשכליל הכלי בגאווה. ולעקר פולחן הנוכרו מערו. ולעשו פולחן עד ישמעאל לעשרי. ימלך קודשו בריחו ונאחוס ביקורי ויצנפו קונה ביקורי משיחי. חיי חוין וימי חוין וחיי לכל בית ישראל. חזלו בזמן קריב אמרו אמן. ואמיה וישתבח וישבח וישמעון וישנשא ויסדור ויסעלה ויסעלו שמי דקודשו בריחו אלו מן כל ברכסו ושירסו תשבחסו ונחמסו תמירם ביעלמו אמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבו נשמעיה חיים חיים עלינו ועל ישראל אמרו אמן. עושה שלום במהמו והוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל אמרו אמן.
In a moment, we're going to have an opportunity to form two lines, shurot, towards the road behind us, and offer the traditional words of comfort to Naomi and the family. First, I just want to mention that the family will be sitting shiva at the Shainwald residence, 4717 Grove Street, that's in Skokie, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday only because of Rosh Hashanah, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that again is in Skokie at 4717 Grove. If I can ask everybody just to face in two lines opposite each other, keeping in mind social distancing, heading that way towards the vehicle.